Hey, what's up guys? This is Oakley and we are getting started on this battle very quickly. I'm already taking some massive mortar fire. Some of these guns already taking part of my artillery pieces out. So this is getting underway very quickly. Let's go ahead and cover the army composition. I'm the Austrian player on the right. On the left is going to be my Native American ally here fielding the Huron Wyandotte. I don't play these guys too often. I don't know too much about their history or their unit composition. But he has these wolf warriors which look just absolutely beastly, and a huge line of these Ojibwa warriors which look definitely intense. With the veterancy on them, they're going to be definitely pretty resilient in a melee engagement. And then some tribesmen up front, just light troops to soak up the enemy fire. And in the back he actually has a bunch of these horse warriors. Watch some of these guys looking out over the plains at the enemy fortifications. The enemy fortifications are, you know, pretty tightly packed up against the back wall here. They are kind of noob boxing. I'm going to contain my rage. No, it's not rage. I mean, this ends up being a very epic battle. Let's go over my position. So I'm the Austrian player. I have some light dragoons and Uhlans hidden in the back. I didn't want to take them, you know, out of the woods and be exposed to the enemy mortar fire. Over on the right flank, I have some more hidden light dragoons. Over in the front, I'm going to be pushing with some just couple line infantry. You can see them spaced out here, reserved of 2 line infantry. And up through the center, Winterbush Jaeger. These guys are very good. They can sneak. They have extreme range, extreme accuracy. And then I have 3 of these Grenzers walking up through the front. Yeah, 3 of them, and then a militia screening on the left. And then up through here, I have 2 24-pounder foot artilleries, or 1 24-pounder foot artillery, and a howitzer foot artillery. Him moving up right through there. And as you already saw, we're getting some shots fired on us from the enemy position. A lot of these mortars raining in, so this is something you always have to be wary about. And he's going to be taking out clusters of my men. See the bombardments coming in. So already you get the theme of this battle of what's been going on. Our enemies are going to be camping, and it's going to be up to us to make the approach. Over here, my 1 artillery piece in the woods, the howitzer, they're targeting my better of the 2 artillery pieces. They've already taken out 2 of my cannons, and there goes another shot taking out a 3rd cannon. This last gun crew is going to try and wheel forward, but it's actually going to shatter then and there. So I've already lost 1 artillery piece in those somehow very precise artillery batteries. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's been here. 2 of the United Province armies, very defensive. Let's go over on this. No, actually, let's watch the artillery. All down the line. Mortar fire, and it just doesn't stop. So you can see it's going to be doing pretty big amounts of damage to my guys. He's down to 80, lost an artillery piece. So in the face of mortars like this, just how many mortars they have, I have to push forward. So we're going to be doing just that now. Let's cover the enemy force. So you saw they had a bunch of skirmishers. They've already staked up their positions, keeping cavalry back, and then they have Swiss infantry, line infantry up on top of the ridge. Some line infantry here with some riflemen, and they have basically line infantry ringing the top with some reserves. In the back, these are going to be some of the Scots back here waiting in reserve. And Jesus, they have so many mortars. How many mortars is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 mortars lined up here. That is pretty obscene. And let's actually enjoy the obscenity, at least. And they have some nice synchronization here. This is almost like the 4th of July with some fireworks firing all down the line. So you have continuous shots raining down on my men. This is just a scary sight. Yeah, here comes the battery, locked and loaded. So this wasn't at all set up. We didn't anticipate that this would be the case. This wasn't supposed to be an attack and defense of a fortified position, but it ended up being just that. So here we go. They're lining up with stakes all the way up until the red line. Line infantry and riflemen. So it's going to be up to us to charge and surround. So that is exactly what the Indian force is doing here. But they're going to be taking some pretty heavy casualties from the mortar batteries now targeting these units. It's a good move on their part, the enemy's part, to target these large clusters of units here who are highly jam-packed, highly susceptible to mortar fire. These guys have almost no armor, they're very weak, and their morale could precipitously drop if they start to lose significant numbers. So any early damage you can do to them is definitely very good. Let's watch some of these mortars Oh yeah, looks like they're mis-targeting. It's going to be coming in at my front line. Let's get some cinematics of this as it comes down on my line. I've spread out my forces into thin spaghetti lines just to avoid the ridiculous amounts of fire. I'm going to go ahead and deploy my artillery piece here before they target my artillery and shatter it. So I'm just going to line up here. Figure I'm within range to start some batteries, and here it comes. Another massive group of volleys into the Native Americans on this side. Been lucky so far, but man, look at these shots. Here comes another one coming in. So they're just getting shot to pieces here. We've been more lucky on this side. If they combined all the mortar fire on our units, we'd be screwed. But it looks like we've been able to get out of here without too many losses. Even more of the Native Americans. Oh my god, this is where we took pretty heavy losses. So yeah, we're going to be going for a massive push around this side, trying to get outside of the range of the mortars. I believe their window of fire is a little bit more straight, but all that means is they're going to be focusing on me. My own artillery is going to start to clip some of these units. I'm going to try and target the Scots. We're here in a nice position where all they have to do is overlook my forces down here, and they just have to wait. You can see from this position how comforting is this. Stakes in front of you, infantry on your back, and mortars firing up and over. I mean, if you take a glance in the back, all you're seeing and all you're hearing is mortar volleys softening up the enemy targets who are forced to march at you. So these guys think they have it nice and cozy. Now, one of the things for the Austrian player, well, that's myself, which is nice for Austria as a faction, is the fact that you have larger infantry blocks, so I can take more punishment. There you go. Not so lucky, Scots. Going to be taking those guys out. I'm just going to slowly try and push through here. I know he has skirmishers right here, and he has supporting skirmishers up above. And they're just waiting. They've got the rifles trained through here, so I'm slowly going to make a push. I decide I'm going to push around on this side. Got my light dragoons, 3 light dragoons pushing on this formation. I'm just going to wait to wrap around here. Some of the enemy shots are going to start targeting my artillery pieces here. Definitely scary. Let's watch it. Yeah. This is very frightening. We're continuing to get as many volleys as we can off, and now it looks like the enemy mortar batteries are not being as accurate as they were before. I was kind of pissed about that because, I mean, from up close, they're not killing my guys, but back here, they were able to snipe 1, 2, 3 of my howitzers. I much rather would have had a howitzer than 24-pounder foot artillery. Anyways, here in the woods, I wanted to secure the woods. That's the only way I can make an approach on this defensive formation. But nonetheless, it's going to be taking a lot of my guys out with them. But in the woods, if I can secure this position, the hill will actually work against my opponent. If I put enough firepower, I can force him off the rim of that hill, and I can use the hill itself as a way to block my enemy's fire. So I'm continuing to move up close, but man, we're going to be firing into the bush. Not quite sure what we're getting into here. And then in the back, riflemen actually starting to get in range. It's going to be hotly contested. Let's not watch from these riflemen, the advanced scouts. They're in the thick of the bushes, probably the worst position of the defensive army here, and they're going to get surrounded. They are trying to kneel and crouch down, but with my lines, I've got 3 units firing into these guys. We're quickly going to be able to take them out. This position is being somewhat softened up by my artillery, which is still holding strong. Over on this side, I'm starting to push forward, again using the force to my advantage, charging in with militia units just to tie down the enemy force. I want to silence them so I can move up my Grenzers. Let's watch these guys. Now we get some nice supporting fire down the line. So I'm engaging with cheap units and getting everything I can up close to unleash on these lines. My militia broke, but I killed half those riflemen. The other riflemen are going to start taking a beating. Over here I'm going to charge in with my line infantry. We're going to get to that engagement relatively soon. Just want to show you what's happening over here. I'm moving up with my line infantry. My light dragoons here are also getting close to the hill. Not quite in position, but once I feel I'm ready, I can move up and get some shots off. And I have more reinforcements just waiting. My line is continuing to support. So yeah, here we're crushing this position. And now let's watch the assault. Holy crap, this is freaking epic. So this is awesome. I mean, wave upon wave of soldier. Oh my god. Let's watch this. And just many ranks deep of the force of the United Provinces. Kneeling rank after rank. So here comes the first charge of our guys. Again, these fodder units, 2 of them, to just soak up tons of fire. And it looks like they're going to be able to close. But let's watch what this looks like from this position. That is a scary, scary sight. So they got lots of lines here. Our initial forces were sent back, but man, we're going to be coming right through those stakes, charging in massive column, and you can see the enemy riflemen getting out of position, already starting to tuck tail and run, mortar fire getting in and amongst the men, and here comes the giant wave. A lot of these guys are going to halt in the front, but it is going to be pretty big all-out retreat. Man, this is so epic. I told you this battle would be cinematic. So here, look at these scary sights. They're going to form up. He's going to get a second line. I think the second line is going to be forced to retreat. These guys told to hold their own against the hordes. They are going to have a bunch of the enemy cavalry or our cavalry in the back, which is going to be supporting with some bow fire. And look at this mass of men we have in this formation, just caving this in. The Scots, however, have gotten on our flank, and they're retaking chunks out of our supporting cavalry. But look at this. Bow fire going to be chewing into these guys, so we're making a good impact on them. He's going to skirt around the stakes and try and find a better position. So we're going to be chewing through these lines. Over in the center, I have not quite engaged just yet. Let's watch this position. Like I said, I claimed this territory with my Grenzers as the other units. So we're going to be chipping away at the front lines. Meanwhile, over here, his rifles don't have the best of shots, and I'm going to be forcing the issue here, enveloping fire on his lines. My Grenzer is getting up close. I want to chew into his Swiss infantry and his riflemen, take care of his long-range guys. My own light dragoons here are right up against his infantry. I've been getting some shots off, not super effective against his guys. We've taken out maybe a couple of them, but I'm ready to charge on through when the time comes. Over here, let's watch what it's like from this commander. Not able to support your troops because of the stakes here. There should have been some implementation to attack the stakes and destroy them, but unfortunately we're corralled on the outside, having to watch this assault, and we've been bogged down a little bit, making some progress. I mean, once you're stuck in, this is where you want to be, but we're going to start to lose some momentum here as they just pour a lot of guys into the fight, and our losses start to get higher and higher, so we really need to crack through. But our cavalry is not able to make any advance. The Scots here definitely holding the key positions along the line, warding our guys back. So this assault is going to start to just have the inklings of wavering. Supporting troops in the back, taking the high ground and starting to shoot into our guys, and now we're starting to lose men. This is not looking good. The mortars are still alive. I was able to take out some of them with my artillery, so definitely those guys doing a good job. Scots are going to get on the high ground. 3 of the Scots units now going to support the infantry, which is formed into square, so that is going to start to break the Indians. Native Americans, sorry. These positions I've had to reinforce with more and more men. And you can see my tactics to chew into these is going very well. Cavalry charged up through the side into the Swiss infantry. I'm trying to tie down the back of the Swiss infantry here because they had more reinforcements and even more of these line infantry. What I'm trying to do is just tango with these guys, tie up as many forces, allow my line infantry here to kill those guys, and then maybe even commit with my light dragoons. So there you go, gonna get them up close. They've been waiting on the sidelines, and not only can they charge, they can also get some volleys off. So he did rout my first light dragoon unit, but that's fine. I have plenty more and I desperately want to use them. Looks like I'm going to bring up my second cavalry force. I'm not quite sure why the other unit isn't firing. There we go. So they can actually take pretty heavy chunks out of that. With 2 of my cavalry units, I'm going to retreat. Second one out, and then allow this force to get some fire. And that's going to, cause him to shuffle his men around. If he gets too close, then I can just charge straight up into them. My line has pretty much engaged on all fronts except for the middle. Getting some nice volleys, and I'm going to follow this up, I believe, with a charge here soon. Yeah, because I don't want his line infantry getting too much fire. The first volley gets some shots off, but I charge in through here with my sabers. So disrupting, tying down this whole line. More cavalry coming up behind. I'm not going to do that much damage, but just, again, tying these guys up, buying me time here to take out his lines. Again, the huge numbers of my units allowing me to do a lot, 3 lines of fire and take the casualties that it takes to push this hill. I'm cleaning up this position here, slowly but surely, with my combined line infantry and light infantry fire. The enemy rear ranks of Swiss infantry holding it together, but you can see the hill is kind of working against them. They don't have anywhere to fire, and they just fired straight into the hill. So I have been getting, slowly but surely some nice shots. My Windbush Jaegers over there with high range, high accuracy, key to taking apart these defensive positions. So it's going pretty well on my side. I'm trading a lot of infantry, but I have the men to devote to that. Over here, like I said, the battle in the center turned kind of against us. We got a lot of kills, but our morale started to break. Some of our warriors are still holding together, got engaged on the Scots, so at least they're not firing into us. but it is not going well anymore. A couple of our guys are winning, but we're getting slaughtered. And over here, these cavalry desperately looking for a way to get into this enclosure. Fire him, I might just sack. Yeah, that's the best thing to do. Sack one unit, make a hole, and then charge the rest of them through, because he really needs some cavalry support. And oh no, it's arriving a little too late. I figure that, you know, my ally is going to charge in through here with some cavalry. That's going to be enough to distract a huge chunk of the enemy force. That's the best time to charge forward through here with my units. Turns out there were still some riflemen left. So I'm going to move up my line infantry, and I just want to do damage to these guys. Get up close, and I'm telling my ally to perhaps send some cavalry this way. But I just want to make sure we get point blank on these guys. It's the best way to deal with riflemen. They'll beat my guys hands down from a distance, which is why I'm just going to get super up close. Over here, my units in the forest finally broke. Didn't get too many kills there, so that was rather unfortunate. But I'm going to charge straight into melee combat with riflemen. I have more numbers than his men, and I want to silence them. That's going to be the best way to take care of those guys before the Scots can get into the position. Looks like cavalry is finally running loose. We get some retribution on the mortars, get some fire into them, and then charge in. So we're going to be able to silence those guys. Definitely a godsend. My guys are engaged on the front line. Looks like I am losing some men, but I have enough, like I said, to play the game of attrition. The Scots back here are very scary, so I want to try and finish those guys up as soon as possible. Cavalry support is not really inbound. They had to pull out of that situation, and it looks like we killed the enemy general. Let's go ahead and see where that happened. Okay, in the center. Excellent. They made their mortar battery their general. So we're cleaning this up, taking some losses, but still cleaning up. Like I said, we lost this position, and it looks like my artillery piece actually ended up going down. So general's bodyguard coming around rallying my men because I know I need more. I'm losing here in the center. He's pulling back his riflemen, and look at all those guys left. So I definitely need to secure this position. My light dragoons were reinforced by some grenzers that I pulled off to this side. The combined fire is enough to break his line, and now I can charge through with my cavalry. I already pulled out one, which was able to charge back in through the rear, destroy a Swiss infantry that was readying up to fire at my guys. Once I had that, you know, tied down, then I moved in with my own line infantry, getting into a position where I can just shoot into these guys. Here comes my ally. So a lot of combined fire. You might be wondering why I'm not firing into those Swiss infantry. Well, what I want to do actually is fire into the flanks of these line infantry. If I can break those guys, then that's going to unleash the entirety of my line, break forward, and then I can charge through. And I also know that this Swiss infantry is tied up. Take a look at what's stirring over here. However, Indian force is American Indian force is sent back in the retreat. My guys here lost, and so they have a rather substantial number of units left. Like I said, we're going to be getting some shots off on the enemy line infantry, and my ally here successfully able to tie down the enemy force, keep them from firing on me. That's definitely very appreciated. I have my light dragoons that finally punch through here. They're going to be charging forward. Grenzers as well, pushing forward to try and contain the enemy forces that are going to try and once again hold the high ground. So it's been literally an uphill battle this entire time. So they have a nice domineering position on our forces. Not at all where I want to be. So I want to have my Grenzers ready to silence the enemy guns. I have more Grenzers here just to start chipping away at his forces up on the hill. So I'm glad I brought a lot of light infantry. Or actually not even that many, just 3 Grenzers, but I kept them alive very, very carefully in this battle. So they're going to be able to pick apart the enemy riflemen, which themselves are pretty weak. See me here getting some damage against these guys. And once more, the enemy thinks they have the terrain to their advantage, but these little hills actually shielded my cavalry, and now they're going to come in, and I'm going to sweep right into the soft target of these riflemen, crush their superiority, even get some Windebush Jaegers into the fight. They're out of ammo, I believe. And yeah, kill these guys. Then I can retreat and kill the enemy force from range. Still got some line infantry remaining here. I'm gonna have my own line infantry fighting them. My general's bodyguard finally sweeping around. My allies' cavalry is coming all the way around the battlefield to exploit the only gap in the stake line. So there we go. He's even got his cavalry up in and on the up in this position with their bows that can actually fire up over the hill. It's gonna be pretty crucial. So helping my guys take out the enemy force. So once again, we've claimed another hill for ourselves. Bow cav coming in. Interesting support of my units. Cool to see that. Let's just watch these guys as they try and support my men. The enemy Scots, low in number, but definitely doing damage where it counts on my cavalry. I really want to keep these guys in for hammer and anvils and quick strikes. They're stuck up against some riflemen, which I desperately want to break. And here comes all this bow fire. Once more, like I said, shielded because of the terrain, and with the bows they can fire over. So pretty awesome. And here comes the enemy war chief with all his bowmen here to reinforce. This is a scary sight for these riflemen who thought they had just cleaned up my light dragoons, only to meet more massing tribal warriors here. We're going to be firing away into the masses of the Scots. This is not what they expected for this battle, so very cool. And now it looks like we're going to unleash the charge on the retreating units with, you know, bow fire coming in here. This is so epic. There you go. We're going to tie these guys up. The enemy force is forced to form up into square. Over here, they would like to get some platoon fire. But take a look at what's cresting the hill on the right. Actually, some mortars you can see still shooting from above. Who are they targeting? Looks like they're targeting my guys in the back. But yeah, I got my guys on the hill, and we're going to charge right in through with some of the Native American cavalry. They're being actually very handy for keeping the enemy at bay, tying them down, sweeping through their lines, and allowing me to do my damage with my remaining guys very cost effectively. So they're just there to tie down, you know, once again, riflemen trying to get on the flank of my forces. So my ally doing a good job of keeping the reinforcements at bay and allowing us to trade cost effectively against the opponents. I think our opponents were making a pretty big mistake, which was to throw stuff at us piecemeal, and we've been able to eat them apart piecemeal as they send in reinforcements with our very much united numbers here. So it seemed like they had the advantage, but now those odds are turning very much against them. The mortar battery is still firing away, but you know, I think the effectiveness of those has run their course. There goes some more hit and run. This is where me and my ally, we were total changers. We're like cheering that we broke through the enemy line. We didn't think it would be at all possible. When you see massacres like this, when you see stakes all the way around your position, when you see 8 mortar batteries, we didn't think it'd be possible, but hell, we broke it through. And this is very, very awesome. We're reclaiming all the land that we lost. All these hills are now ours. Troops swarming in, cavalry coming in through the back, the generals kind of here hand in hand marching forward, an alliance of necessity. This is cool sight. Let's get a nice little clip of both of these warriors moving forward. My own general's unit plus the allied Indian war chief, Native American war chief in support. Both of us were needed for this victory. And here we go, claiming the hill, sweeping in here. Looks like the horse warriors again cleaning up, allowing my militia to get in the mix, and we're going to be resecuring this side of the battlefield. The only thing that is left is a couple of these infantry blocks. This is almost like Custer's last stand, so they're going to form up. But I've got point blank range Austrian line infantry, some more line infantry, and then the final death strokes is going to be inflicted by those horse warriors, picking apart these guys with bow and arrow. It's not too often that you see that, and now they're going to be coming in for the charge to finish these guys off. So that is great. Right over the dead bodies of the mortars. My god, I've been wanting to kill those guys all game. So you go, killing those guys. We've secured that side of the battlefield, and now crashing into the last of the enemy square positions. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. You know, sometimes we like to rage against campers, but sometimes those battles make epic fights. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Super awesome. You can see definitely the enemy forces for investing in the mortars had way less numbers than us. I actually had more forces than my ally, or no, sorry, what happened here? Oh yeah, this is what happens when someone on your team leaves. So I was the Austrian player 2400. My ally had 20 men less than me, so overall I had way more guys than the opponents. They killed more than us, or at least Napoleon did here. But yeah, fun battle, fun battle. Wouldn't have had it any other way. Sometimes you got to play these camper battles out to the end, and sometimes they're super epic. So let's go ahead and sort this by the number of kills. Like I said, my Grenzers being very cost effective. Even my light dragoons, once they broke through, doing very well. Windbush Jaegers picking apart enemy forces very effectively. And down at the bottom, my sniped 24-pounder howitzer foot artillery. I would have loved to get those in close range and break up the enemy positions, but it was not to be. So again, hope you guys enjoyed. This is definitely, I think, one of my favorite battles I've had in Empire. I hope you guys can share it with other people because I'm very proud of this one. And it goes to show, hopefully, that, campers aren't the end of the day. You can make a fun experience out of it. Anyways, that's it for this one. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.